Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Business Mathematics. We are now at our fifth week, and for this week, our topic would be operation of fraction. And for this one, it's just a continuation that we had from week 3 to 4. So for this one, what are the basic operations that we have for mathematics, and we will apply it to our fractions. So for this lesson, we will recognize keywords in math word problems which indicate a particular mathematical operation. We will also perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and simple mixed operations of simple fractions and reduce the answers to its simplest form. We will also solve practical problems involving the operations of fraction. Now, we'll proceed to our lesson discussion, which is the continuation of topics in what we had during our fourth week. So what are the operations of fraction? We have adding and subtracting fractions. We are going to add and subtract fractions with like denominators, and we are going to learn how to add and subtract fractions also with unlike denominators or denominators which are not the same. We are going to learn how to multiply a fraction by a fraction also, and multiply a fraction by an integer or a whole number, and we will also learn how to divide fraction. So for adding fractions, when adding and subtracting fractions, the first thing to do is to check if the denominators are the same. If the denominator is the same, we keep the denominator. So we just add the numerators. Because in the example, the denominator is just the same. So since we have the same denominator of 5, we will just add the numerator. So 1 plus 2 is equals to 3. So our answer for 1 over 5 and 2 over 5 is 3 over 5 because we have the same denominator. Now for subtracting, if we have the same denominator also, we are going to keep the same denominator and just subtract the numerator. So it's just the same when we are going to add fractions. So we have here an example. We have 5 over 8 minus 2 over 8. So we have the same denominator. We are going to keep the same denominator 8 and we'll continue to subtract the numerator. So 5 minus 2 is equals to 3. So another example that we have is 3 over 4 and 2 over 2 fourths. So if we are going to subtract it, 3 over 4 minus 2 over 4. So again, we are going to keep the same denominator and we're just going to subtract the numerator. So we have 3 minus 2 is equals to 1. So this would be our answer, 1/4. So that is our operation of fraction when it comes to adding and subtracting fractions. So once again, if the denominators are the same, then it's pretty easy. Just add or subtract the numerators and write the result over the same denominators. Now, what if we have unlike denominators? So if the denominators are not the same, then we have to use equivalent fractions which do have a common denominator. To do this, we need to find the least common multiple or LCM of the two denominators. So we have here an example. We have 3 over 5 plus 3 over 2. We could see that they have the same, they don't have the same denominator, or these fractions have unlike denominators. Now, how are we going to add this? So by adding this, we need to find their common denominator. So the common denominator that we have is 2 over 2 and 5 over 5. So by finding the common denominator of 5 over 2, we are going to multiply the numbers. So by finding it, we are going to get 10. So multiply 2 multiplied by 5, we have 10. And if we are going to multiply 2 by 5 as well, we are going to get 10. So 2 multiplied by 3, we are going to get 6. And if we are going to multiply 3 by 5, our answer is 15. So now we have, for 3 over 5, we have 6 over 10. And for 3 over 2, we have 15 over 10. So now we have the same denominator. We are just going to add the numerators. So for this one, our numerators would be 6 plus 15 is equals to 21. And then our denominator, since it's the same, we just keep the denominator, which is 10. So once again, when we add fractions with unlike denominators, we need to find their common denominator. So these are the two common denominator of the two fractions that we have, 2 over 2 and 5 over 5. Now, when we have to add mixed numbers, for adding mixed numbers, we need to find the LCD again of the two numbers. So once again, by finding the LCD, we have 10 again. But first, we need to convert these mixed numbers into fractions. So how do we add mixed numbers? By converting mixed numbers to fraction. So we have here 5 multiplied by our whole number or integer 1 is equals to 5, and then we add it to our numerator. So 5 plus 3 is equals to 8. So we got 8 over 5. So for this another fraction that we have, 2 multiplied by 2, we have 4. So we're going to add our answer, 4 plus 1. So it becomes 5. So 5 is our numerator here for our example. Now we have an improper fraction. Now we have to add this to get our mixed number. So by finding the mixed number again, find the LCD or the lowest common denominator. So the lowest common denominator of 5 and 2 is 10 again. So 8 plus 8. So again, by finding the lowest common denominator of 5 and 2, we will get 8 and then 5 and 5 over 2. So we have to multiply it. 2, 8 multiplied by 2 is 16, and 5 multiplied by 2 is 10. Meanwhile, in 5 over 5, just find the LCD of the numerators. So we have here 5 multiplied by 5 is 25, and 2 multiplied by 5 is 10. So we will get an answer of 16 over 10 plus 25 over 10. So since we have the same denominator, we will just add our numerators. 16 plus 25 is equals to 41. So 41 over 10 is our answer. Now, to convert this into our mixed number, remember, if we are going to convert improper fraction to a mixed number, we are going to um, divide our numerator and denominator. So let's divide it. 41 divided by 10 is equals to 4 over 4 and 1 over 10. So you may use your calculator as well, or you may solve it mathematically with the solution, and this would be your answer. So by changing improper fraction to a whole number, we are just going to divide the numerator by the denominator. So these are the operations that we have. Another example is subtracting fractions with the different denominator. Once again, if we are going to subtract with the same denominator, we're just going to keep the same denominator and then subtract the numerators. And we could also simplify if possible. But for different numbers, we have to use equivalent fractions or the LCD. So we have here 5 over 6 minus 7 over 12. So we have to find their LCD, which is 7 over 5 times 2 is 10 and 6 over 2 is 12. So 10 over 12. So 10 is divisible by 5 and 12 is divisible by 6. So by finding this equivalent fraction that we have and they have the same denominator, so let's subtract the numerators. 10 minus 7 is 3, and we keep the same denominator, which is 12, and we are going to simplify this if possible. So we now have our answer, which is 1/4. So for subtracting mixed numbers, so we are just going to, again, change the mixed numbers into improper fraction. So by changing mixed numbers into improper fractions, again, our method is to multiply our denominator to our integer and then add our answer to our numerator. So again, we have 2 multiplied by 9 is 18, and then 18 plus 1 is 19. So this one, we're going to do the same method. So 4 multiplied by 5 is 20, and 20 add by 1, which is the numerator 1. So we got the answer 21. So we have here 19 over 2 and 21 over 4. Now we have to change to common denominator. So we have to make sure that we have the common denominator 4. So how? So we're just going to find the LCD again, which is 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. We have here, and 19 multiplied by 2 is 38. Now we have the answer of 38 over 4, and then now it is equivalent to our fraction, which is the 21 over 4. So now we are going to subtract this. So 38 minus 21, we have 17, and then keep the denominator same. And since our problem is a mixed number, we have to convert this into a mixed number as well. So by converting an improper fraction to a mixed number, we are just going to divide our numerator to our denominator. And this is our answer. We have 4 as our integer and 1/4 as our fraction. So now, let's go to multiplication. So for multiplying a fraction by fraction, to multiply two fractions, just multiply the numerator to get the numerator of the product and multiply the denominators to get the denominator of product. So mainly, we are just going to multiply the numerator and the denominator. So even if it's the denominators are not same, we just multiply it. So we have here, whenever we multiply fractions together, multiply the numerators together, then the denominators together. We have A and C as our numerator and B and D as our denominator. So this is our method, A multiplied by C and over B multiplied by D. So step 1, we have here an example. 3 over 4 multiplied by 1 over 2. So 3 times 1 is equals to 3, and 4 times 2 is equals to 8. So this is now our answer. How about if we are going to multiply fractions by whole numbers? So we have here a whole number. So basically, if we just have an integer or a whole number, we just put 1 as its denominator. So step 1, we have here 2 times 3. So we have 6, and then 7 times 1, we just add 1 as its denominator. So we have 7. So we have here an answer of 6 over 7. And then the next operation is division. So for dividing a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal of the fraction. So basically, for this one, for division, let's check our example. So we have 3/4 divided by 2 over 7. So we keep our first we keep our first subtraction, which is 3/4, and then change the term into multiplication, and then we flip our next fraction, which is 2 over 7. So if we flip it, it will become 7 over 2. Now let's multiply it. 3 multiplied by 7, so this is our numerators, is equals to 21, and 4 multiplied by 2 is equals to 8. Now this is our answer for 3 over 4 divided by 2 over 7. We have 21 over 8. So for dividing fractions, first step what we have to remember is keep the first fraction the same, and then change the division sign to a multiplication sign, and flip the second fraction over to write the reciprocal. And remember that in adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing an integer by a mixed number, change the mixed number to an improper fraction and determine the product. And if both fractions are mixed number, convert each mixed numbers to an improper fraction before you proceed to the operation. So now I will be showing you a video example again about these fractions and their operations.
In this lesson, we're going to focus on adding and subtracting fractions. Let's say if we have 3 divided by 5 plus 4 divided by 7. How can we add these two fractions? Well, here's a simple technique. First, multiply 5 and 7. This will give you a common denominator of 35. Next, multiply 3 and 7. 3 times 7 is 21. And also, there's a plus in between. Multiply 5 times 4, which is 20. 21 plus 20 is 41. So the answer is 41 divided by 35. Let's try another example. Let's say if we want to subtract 7 over 8 minus 2 over 9. Let's use the same technique. Let's multiply the two denominators, 8 and 9, which is 72. And then the next one is going to be 7 times 9, which is 63, minus 8 times 2, which is 16. Now let's subtract. What is 63 minus 16? This is going to be 47. Now 47 is not divisible by 2, nor is it divisible by 3. So this is it. That's the final answer. So now you know how to add or subtract two fractions. Now what if we wanted to add or subtract, let's say, 3 fractions instead of 2? What should we do in this case? So let's say we wish to combine 3 over 4 plus 5 over 3 minus 7 over 2. Whenever you wish to add or subtract fractions, the denominator has to be the same. The denominator is the bottom part of the fraction, and right now they're all different. So how can we make them the same? How can we get the common denominator? If you want to find the least common denominator, make a list. All of the multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and so forth. Multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and so forth. And multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. What is the least common multiple? We're looking for a multiple that is common to all 3 numbers, but it's the lowest. The least common multiple is 12. 12 is common to 2, 3, and 4, and it's the lowest of such numbers. Now granted, 24 is also a common multiple, And if you use 24, you can get the right answer. You just got to simplify at the end. So if you're ever unsure about how to find the least common denominator, you can find any common denominator. One simple technique is simply to multiply these three. 4 times 3 times 2 is 24. And you could use 24 and still get the right answer. So now that we know the least common denominator is 12, let's multiply each fraction in such a way to get 12. The first fraction, let's multiply the top and the bottom by 3, because 3 times 4 is 12. The second one, let's use 4. And for the last one, let's use 6. So looking at the first one, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 5 is 20, 4 times 3 is 12. 7 times 6 is 42, 2 times 6 is 12. Now that we have the same denominator, we can combine the numerators. 9 plus 20 is 29, and 29 minus 42 is negative 13. So this is the final answer. It's negative 13 divided by 12. So now it's your turn. Go ahead and try this example. 8 over 5 minus 2 over 3 plus 9 divided by 4. So go ahead and add these three fractions. So this time, to find the least common multiple, we're just going to multiply 5, 3, and 4. It may not be the least common multiple, but it is a common denominator, just so you know. If we multiply 5 times 4 times 3, this will give us 5 times 4 is 20, 20 times 3 is 60. So 60 is going to be the common denominator that we're going to try to get. So we're going to multiply the first fraction by 12, because 12 times 5 is 60. And the second one by 20, because 20 times 3 is 60. By the way, if you want to find out the number, divide it. 60 divided by 5 will give you the 12. 60 divided by 3 will give you the 20. And 60 divided by 4 will give us the number that we need to multiply this fraction by, which is 15. Now 12 times 8, that's 96. 5 times 12, we know is 60. 2 times 20 is 40. 3 times 20 is 60. And 9 times 15. 15 times 10 is 150. So if you take away 15 from that, you'll get 15 times 9, so that's 135. And 4 times 15 is 60. Now, 96 minus 40, that's positive 56. And 56 plus 135. Let's go ahead and add those two numbers the old-fashioned way. 5 plus 6 is 11, carry over the 1. 1 plus 3 plus 5 is 9, plus 1. So the final answer is 191 divided by 60. In this lesson, we're going to focus on multiplying two fractions. Whenever you need to multiply the numbers across the fractions. 3 times 7 is equal to 21. And 5 times 2 is equal to 10. And so this is it. The answer is 21 over 10. That's all you need to do when multiplying fractions. But sometimes the numbers may not be that small. Let's say if we have large numbers. What should we do in this case? Now we can multiply across. We can multiply 24 and 45, which will give us a big number. But do we really want to do that? When multiplying fractions with large numbers, it's in your best interest to break down the large numbers into small numbers. For instance, 24 is basically 6 times 4. 27 is 9 times 3. 45 is 9 times 5. And 30 is 6 times 5. You want to break it in such a way that you can cancel some numbers. Here we can cancel a 5 because we have one on top and the other on the bottom. The same is true for the 9. And we can cancel a 6. So therefore, the final answer is 4 over 3. So we were able to get the final answer without multiplying 24 by 45. That step was necessary. Plus, it's going to take some time, and you need a calculator. Doing it this way requires no use of a calculator. Try this one. Multiply 56 divided by 77 by 35 over 40. Now 56 is 8 times 7, 77 is 11 times 7, 35 is 7 times 5, and 40 is 8 times 5. So we can cancel an 8, we can cancel a 7, and we can cancel a 5, leaving the final answer of 7 over 11. So now you know how to multiply two fractions. In this lesson, we're going to focus on dividing two fractions. Let's use 8 over 5 as an example, and let's divide it by 12 over 7. Now, perhaps you heard of the expression keep, change, flip. It's useful when dividing fractions. Keep the first fraction the same way, change division to multiplication, and flip the second fraction. And now you can do it. So 8 times 7 is 56, but we can simplify it before we multiply. 8 is basically 4 times 2, and 12 is 4 times 3. So we could cancel a 4. And now we can multiply. 2 times 7 is 14, and 5 times 3 is 15. So the final answer is 14 over 15.
So those are the fractions basic operations, adding, subtracting, and multiplying and dividing fractions. So I hope this video that I had shown you had helped you with our lesson for this week. So for our activity for this week, we have activity 1 and show your complete solution and encircle your final answer. We have a total of 5 problems, so I will just require you to submit numbers 1, 2, and 3, but you may also answer numbers 1 to 5. So for our references, we have Business Mathematics K-12, BEC, ABM Strand, and I will also post the link of the video that I have shown you for this discussion as well that I had shared. And we also have suggested readings, institutional module, business mathematics as well from Seattle College. So I hope you had learned about fractions, about the operation of fractions, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing fraction. So for this week, I would like to say thank you and share a Bible verse from the book of Mark chapter 9 verse 23 said Jesus, everything is possible for one who believes. So thank you once again and God bless.